Sponsoring some 400 children to go to school each year, and we're also sponsoring another through Friends of Friends of the Amen Club. We're now sponsoring about 30 children to go to school up there, and that's a very big thing. The schooling is free, but they can't go to school if they don't have books and they don't have shoes and they don't have a uniform, and that's all going to be paid for to get them there. And even then, we haven't quite got the answer to this, because up on top of the mountain there for the children to come down and go to school in some of these villages, it's a 3-hour walk, 4-hour walk down that mountain, and 3-4 hour walk back up again to get the bus to take them to school. And unfortunately, by the time they get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you get down and get the bus at 6:30, they get home at 3 o'clock, and they get home up the top of the mountain till 7 o'clock at night. That becomes a little too taxing for the children. So it just doesn't happen in all the cases up there. Under money check of device, we proceeded to form the NGO. However, some time and complex web of paperwork, the amount of reporting we had to do on this over there to the Balinese government, or Indonesian government, we decided this is not the way to go. So hence our tour of the Rotary clubs, and trust me, we've been to them all, to try and find a partner that we can work with, who actually gets out and works. A lot of the clubs there in Bali become social venues. I think they're there for the social atmosphere. They don't raise any money, they don't work, they rely on donations from other clubs coming in from overseas, and then they're really not doing anything that you can speak of. So we finally come to this Rotary Club at Taman, which has 36 members, and 32 of them are women. And we have they have 3 male members, that's it. They are trying to work on that, but I think somewhere over there for some of the guys it gets a bit intimidating for them. But the amount of projects that this club is doing just blows your mind. I mean, they have a gentleman who's kindly donated $21,000 a year in income for them, and they run a large bus, which is a health clinic on mobile wheels, but can only get to the main roads and main access. And from that, they're accessing women's health, and that's primarily what they focus on: pap smears, breast examinations. Because in all of Bali, there's only, I think it's one, isn't it, mammogram?
One mammogram.
One mammogram machine for the whole of Bali. And very, very expensive.
Available only to rich people because it's run through a private hospital. So most women in Bali do not have a mammogram done. So the ones they reach here already have breast cancer symptoms.
So they've been doing that. They also sponsor this 400 Children's School, which is actually being sponsored by Rotary Club Northgate out of Melbourne, and they send about $9,000 I think every year to feed and clothe these kids and put them through school, which is a fantastic thing that they're doing. One of the things we did here recently is we just got in $9,500 from a Rotary Club over in Perth, and we're putting in 5 water purification systems into 5 schools. These water purification systems cost about $2,500 a piece. They produce about 1,500 litres of clean drinking water per day. So it allows the schools that have this to do 2 things. One is they've got clean, fresh drinking water for the children, which is more water being produced each day than they can possibly use with 600 or 800 kids in a school. So they then sell the water off to the villages or the local people around them. They bring over their water jugs and they fill it up and they pay a few rupee for the clean drinking water. This in turn generates money for the school to maintain the schools. Now the schools we went and visited that had this water purification system in for the last 12 months, the schools were immaculate. There was no broken windows, there was no broken chairs. The schools were fantastic. And that's all coming from the sale of this water, the excess water, which is going out to the local villages around it. Because you have to remember, we had one incident at school where the toilet roof had collapsed. So they called the government official come down and said, yeah, it definitely does need fixing. You couldn't use the toilets at the school. However, we won't have any money for that until 2014. So we'll put it on the agenda for February 2014. In the meantime, 260 kids that go to school have no toilets. So between a few friends over there, we raised $350 and we got a new roof put on the toilet so that they could continue on. So So it's things like that from the government that just blow your mind, you know, how they expect those kids to go to school and have no toilets, no facilities there, but that's the way it is. Sue, my wife, has now become a Rotarian here recently. She's now a member of the Bali Club. So she's working with all these girls, which, trust me, is a work in progress because the whole meeting is in Indonesian. So it's sink or swim, learn Indonesian or get out of the road, you know? So we've been sitting home at the end of each meeting. We sit home with a conversion program on Google and we start deciphering all these texts and minutes from the meeting so we can actually figure out what happened at the meeting. But it does work. They all speak English, but it's easier for them to speak Indonesian, of course. This is the bus we were talking about. This is Ashrik, who's the president of the Rotary Club Taman, with Sue, and Peter Kelly is a gentleman who's been helping, doing a lot of work with us on the clinic and helping us to get things done. He's a builder, so he's been coordinating the renovation of the clinic and doing all that for us. This is a goat program that the Rotary Club Taman does up in the hills. They put out these goats into 3 different families to start breeding, and it's working quite well as far as the breeding of goats goes, because most of the female goats are pregnant in the 3 houses they put them in. However, the goats eat so much that they're now travelling like 3 kilometres a day to get food for the goats. So we decided that the continuation of that is not good, and hence we're going to start trialling the rabbit program there. So that, because one female rabbit will produce about 100 siblings a year. So we figure with 5 females and a couple of males in a cage, they should have plenty of protein in their food after the first 6 months. The activity of the Rotary Club over there, the funds predominantly come from overseas. They recently received Northbridge Club in Perth, which was the 9,000 to put in these water purification systems. Which is really was 5 schools now with fresh water, so that's 10 schools altogether that this particular club has funded with these water purification systems. South Bank in Melbourne sends them 7,000 each year to sponsor the children, 400 children to school, and the 2 clubs in Japan fund the mobile clinic with them, which costs around $20,000 per year. The club is fortunate in some ways that they have 2 doctors in the club who are members. And Dr. Ying, the Rotary Clinic, the mobile clinic there is her life. She's about 70 years old now, and I don't know what they're going to do when she passes on, but at this point she runs that mobile clinic like Hitler ran Germany type of thing. She's very, very good, very diligent in what she does. And then we also have a French member in the club there who comes for about 7-8 months of the year. And she's a gynecologist and a doctor from France who's committed now to coming down the clinic and working with us there when she comes back. So that's going to be a big asset to us in the clinic for any more serious cases that the nurse can't look at. These, to give you an idea, this is a water purification system that goes into the schools. You can see the 2 tanks at the back and the huge water purification system here at the front. So it's quite a complex system. This will give you an idea. One of the things we've been doing here, teaching the club how to raise money yourself instead of relying on all overseas money coming in. So we've embarked on now a series of barbecues. Sue's now running a book exchange system that we're setting up over there. The first barbecue we did here was quite a large success. We did it in the sports warehouse outlet, which sells, what's the brand again? Ripco. It's the Ripco brand, and they're a big warehouse outlet there. We're doing it in the car park there. These people were delighted with what we've done, but it's an amazing thing. We found that most of the Australians over in Bali are really cheap-ass bastards. You know, they all want the sausage, but they want it for nothing. But the amazing part is, which we didn't think would happen, 90% of our sales went to Indonesians who were happy to buy the sausage. In fact, some would come back for 2. So that was quite an eye-opener for the Rotarians that came from the club. And they come to support it. We had probably, what, 8 or 9 of the members who turned up. They were there all day. you know, they really support what you're doing and they're happy to do it. They just in the past have had absolutely no idea of how